It's time. Imagine a substance with the power to destroy humanity. Imagine a creature insane enough to use it. Imagine a hero on the verge of creation. From flesh to steel.
You must visualize your objective.
From blood
Right now.
to blade.
Don't get cocky. You have a lot more to learn.
From man to spawn.
Peekaboo. I see you. We have harvested the ultimate weapon. Makes the Ebola virus look like a skin rash.
Congratulations. I say destroy the cosmos, ask questions later.
Who are you?
This is just what they want. You're playing their game.
To now play dirty.
You've been violated, curly man.
Use your armor.
Now stay sharp. The night is young.
This summer, evil has a new enemy. Justice has a new weapon. And the world has a new hero. Spawn.
Proof in 1997 that Batman and Robin may have been bad, but you know what? It's head and shoulders above some of these other movies that we got, like Spawn and Steel. That doesn't mean Batman and Robin's that great of a film, but still, it's better than anything that came out of Spawn. Which is a shame, because the marketing for this wasn't all bad. I mean, that trailer didn't look too bad, honestly, and there was actually a really cool teaser trailer that came out the year prior to this.
This film has not yet been rated. This film has not yet been approved. But next summer, New Line Cinema brings to light the darkest hero to ever ignite the screen. What once was human is now pure force, feared by evil, sworn to justice. Next summer, nothing in this world can prepare you for Spawn.
Why don't more trailers take advantage of the MPAA rating card? I mean, have fun with that. There are movies that are doing that ever since this came out, like Smurfs: The Lost Village comes to mind, The Good German. Recently, the Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem movie had a good little joke that they had with the trailer card. I mean, do more with that. I mean, I think that may have been the earliest one where somebody said, let's just have fun with that trailer card and just go with it. And it made it into a really cool looking teaser trailer. But like I said, the material that they had there, the marketing, the promotions they had out there, can't really hide the fact that the movie is pretty bad. And it's a shame, because it has good talent on board, not just people like John Leguizamo, Nicole Williamson, Martin Sheen, Teresa Randall. I mean, Michael Jai White, man. I mean, Michael Jai White was pitch perfect for Spawn, and he could have easily been the best thing in this movie, but they unfortunately didn't give him a whole lot to do. And Michael Jai White is a fantastic actor. I've seen him in a bunch of other movies since this came out, and I mean, he is really good. He is really an impressive actor. I've seen him in a lot of great films. He seems like a cool dude sometimes too on social media. I don't know if he still does, but I know on my Twitter feed he actually followed me on there. So I must have said something nice about him. But I do really like him. I do really like him as an actor, and I do kind of wish this movie had given him a chance to have more of a chance to show what he could do as an actor, because I don't think he really this is probably his only real big early chance at a leading role, and hopefully to branch his name out, because after this he kind of went into more, I don't want to say supporting roles, more character roles. Like, honestly, like, I don't really see him a lot in like bigger leading roles. I could be wrong on that. I haven't really checked his filmography in a while. Well, he was in the Tyler Perry movies, Why Did I Get Married and Why Did I Get Married Too, and I know he was also in Black Dynamite, which is a great movie and made for a really funny TV series on Adult Swim. I completely forgot that he was Mike Tyson in an HBO biopic, so maybe he has been in some more stuff that I don't really know, as I haven't really gotten the full gist of here. But regardless, man, I think he's a fantastic actor, and this really should have been his breakout movie, but kind of like George Clooney in Batman and Robin, the rest of the movie itself around him just wasn't that good enough, and not helped by the fact that John Leguizamo was not that great either. I mean, a good job on the makeup work, honestly, but his performance is just, it's just too all over the place, and just didn't really work. The punchlines he had were not that great. I mean, it just really didn't work at all. The visual effects are really the absolute worst thing about this movie. Like, let me put it this way: this was originally greenlit with a budget of $20 million, but because the visual effects were so big and so high end, it grew to double that, $40 to $45 million, which a third of that was spent on the effects, and they had a lot of trouble putting these effects together. In fact, it got so bad that the last bit of visual effects they had to work on occurred 2 weeks before the film, not even 2 weeks before the film was supposed to come out. July 21st, 1997 was the last shot of the visual effects that they had to get into the movie and render, and it was not but even 10 days before the movie was supposed to come out. And even in the movie, it still looks abysmal. It looks unbelievably bad the way that these visual effects do. I mean, it's just a mess, man. It's a mess of a movie just on the visual level. Like, there's so much potential that really could have been done with this, but it just didn't really fly. It didn't really deliver everything that the comic series had. I mean, it didn't have a lot of the good visual flair that we saw from the comics. It didn't really have a lot of fun to it. I mean, it's just not really enjoyable. I mean, it's not an enjoyable film whatsoever. And it's a shame because the talent is there, the possibilities are there, but just the execution and the way it's handled, it's not there, man. It's just a mess on so many levels. It's a big disappointment. I expected a lot more from this. I think a lot of people really expected a lot more from this. It's a shame because so much potential really could have gone into this, and it just wasn't there. It's a massive misfire on so many levels, and they keep saying they're going to try to remake it again, but do a reboot of it with I think Blumhouse was at one point attached to it, and they were going to have Jamie Foxx at one point play the title character, but there hasn't been anything really said about it since the start of the pandemic, so who really knows if that's actually going to happen now anytime soon. But yeah, maybe one day they can get it right, but for right now, we have this bad movie that's just really not, it's really not worth it, honestly. Like, I really want to see more from these actors in a much better, like, I want to see these actors in a much better movie than this one. That's really what I want to see from it, but unfortunately, this film just didn't do the trick for me. So that is Spawn. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is Jennifer Aniston and Kevin Bacon in Picture Perfect. See, I did it again. I did that yesterday. The movie is called Picture Perfect.
A woman who gets a lot of attention.
Okay, just give me the damn thing.
Just not the kind she's looking for.
Kelly. I'd like a grandchild. All right, Mom, well, you'll be happy to know I'm looking into getting some eggs frozen. Wonderful. I can tell everyone I'm having a grandsicle.
Then one day, someone came along who caught her attention.
It's my first chest pain. It's my first official chest pain.
Now, she'll do whatever it takes.
You're too nice. I can be a bad girl, Sam.
Not bad enough for me, Kate. To get what she wants.
Could I have the number for Midtown Flowers, please?
What are you doing?
So what's it, Kate?
I'm engaged.
So tell me about this guy.
Huh? They all said they want to meet him, of course.
We'd have to take you two kids out to dinner.
Do I look stupid to you?
He can't find an hour to visit with his future mother-in-law.
I mean, do I really need to show you any more from that? I mean, we've seen this done so many times in so many other movies. The main character has to lie about the fact that she's married, and the fact that, like, the movie almost lost me right away from that first shot in the trailer where she's the only single female at this wedding. It's just like the stupidity levels of this are already ridiculous, and The movie gets even worse with that. I mean, it goes to the tropes that we've seen done over and over and over again. I mean, there's really nothing else more I can really say about this film that hasn't already been said already about it, because really, not only do you need to have people tell you how bad it is, it's just the fact that every single romantic comedy cliche is in this movie. I mean, it's literally every single one, and there's no special twist to it. There's no special quirk to it. There's nothing that makes it unique or stand out on its own. It's just the same stuff we've seen done over and over and over again. You know you're going to get the liar reveal. You know you're going to get the third act breakup. But then they're going to have to get back together again. And it's just like... It's like we've seen this done so many times. And this movie is just... It's just a mess. It is the second big disaster for Jennifer Aniston in 1997 in terms of films. Because she was also in Till There Was You, which was a huge mess on so many levels. And then this is just bad because it's just something we've seen done over and over and over again, and it's just not worth it. It's not worth seeing what Jennifer Aniston has been able to show as a leading actress in the years since this movie came out, and even on Friends. Like, this is garbage. This is a garbage movie that's been features so many cliches, so many things that are been there, done that, and it's just like, it's not worth it, man. It's just not worth it when it's all said and done. So, not much more I gotta say about that one. That's Pitch Perfect. So let's go ahead and move on to the next film we have here, and that is Disney's Air Bud.
And now for the grand finale, kids!
I warned you! You had your chance!
A dog who needed a home. A boy who needed a friend.
Good boy. Good boy.
And the game that brought them together.
Like basketball? Do you remember when I used to have a hamster? You want another hamster? Not exactly. Hey, boy, come again, come again! No way.
This summer, the dog is in the house. Walt Disney Pictures presents the story of two unlikely friends who saw their shot
What the heck's going on here? Ain't no rules in the dog can't play basketball. Y'all ready for this?
and took it.
Yeah! You're Michael Jordan! Even more amazing than the Timberwolves' miraculous mid-season turnaround is Buddy. But this is no ordinary golden retriever.
I believe you got my dog.
For the underdog in all of us.
Can someone cover that dog? Y'all ready for this?
Disney's Air Bud.
Does he dribble? No, but it might drool a little bit.
I mean, if you haven't really decided after the fact that they said there's no rule in the rule book that says a dog can't play basketball, if you can accept the stupidity of that, I mean, chances are you're probably going to like this movie, but me personally, I didn't like this movie. I mean, I get what they're trying to do. I know it's supposed to be silly. I know it's supposed to be a ridiculous sports comedy with a twist, this time with a dog playing basketball. I get that, but this movie never really entertained me. I never liked these Air Bud movies because they're pretty much the same movie every single time. And at least with this first film, I'll give it credit that it does try to do something a little bit unique and different by having an animal playing a sport like basketball. I mean, it's an idea that's so ridiculous and so absurd that I'd be willing to buy it if the rest of the movie was not that was more memorable, but it really isn't. Every other story, it's kind of like Picture Perfect in a way, but except in that movie, there's nothing unique about it. There's at least something that's at least unique about the concept here, but you still have to deal with a lot of ridiculous stuff. You have to deal with an abusive owner who eventually will come back and will cause a third act breakup, and they'll have to, and again, another third act breakup where the kid has to get rid of, tell Buddy to go run freeing in the forest, and then he'll have to come back and when there's an injury on the team, and they'll have to play in the basketball game, and it's just so much stuff happens in this movie, and it's just like I really never got anything out of it. Honestly, I never got any enjoyment out of it. I never really got anything too spectacular out of it. I just really thought it was just a real mediocre movie. I know it has a fan base. I know these movies have a fan base to them. I mean, they've spawned God knows how many spin-off sequels in these films, but yeah, me personally, I just don't get it. I mean, I just don't really see anything too great about it, honestly. It's like, yeah, you have an interesting idea here, but that's about it, an interesting idea. The rest of what you have here is pretty bad. I mean, it's nothing too spectacular, it's nothing too amazing, and I just personally couldn't get into it, honestly. I thought it was just a mediocre film. Not the worst, but definitely could have been a whole lot better with a better script, but I know I'm alone on that, but I know a lot of people like it, but that's the power of freedom of speech. You know what? That's fine with them. So that's pretty much all I got to say about Air Bud, honestly. So let's go ahead and move on to the next film we've got here. Samuel L. Jackson in 187.
Education. Give Cesar your book so he can read. Intimidation. 187. That's the police code for homicide. Violence. What you gonna do? Destruction. Are you finished? There's nothing more you can do to me. Murder. You can't expect the system to protect us. You know what to do. The things it takes for some people to finally get it. And don't you feel safer with Billy gone? Samuel L. Jackson, 187. Rated R. Starts Wednesday, July 30th.
So this is Samuel L. Jackson's, believe it or not, this is actually the first movie he ever got top billing for. He had been supporting roles in stuff like Jurassic Park, Long Kiss Goodnight, Pulp Fiction, just a number of different movies, but this is actually the first movie where he has top billing on it, and it's basically, he plays a teacher in Los Angeles who's caught with gang trouble in an urban high school, and the film's name is basically the California Penal Code Section 187, which defines murder. The interesting thing about this movie is that the writer of this was a Los Angeles area high school substitute teacher for 7 years, and he actually wrote the screenplay after an incident where a violent transfer student had threatened to kill him and his family. The writer, Scott Yeagerman, reported the threat to the authorities, and the student was arrested. About a week later, he was called by the district attorney to testify against the student in a court of law, where the student was being prosecuted for stabbing a teacher's aide the year before. And this annoyed him, who had not been told about beforehand, to lead him to write the screenplay. And he claimed that 90% of the film's material is based on incidents that had happened to him and other teachers in real life. So honestly, that's a really interesting story to go around here with this. And you would think that there'd be something here, but honestly, there's nothing really all that different compared to some other movies of this type, like Dangerous Minds and The Substitute. Lean on Me. That's, you know, these movies. We've seen a lot of movies like this, and sadly, it's just not. Samuel L. Jackson just isn't enough to really elevate this to another level. I mean, he's trying his best here. It's got a good cast overall. John Hurd, Kelly Rowland, Clifton Collins, Method Man's in here. This is directed by Kevin Reynolds, whose last movie was Waterworld. It's not a bad movie per se, but it's just not one that's just kind of like, you know, we've seen this done before. It's like the other two movies we talked about, Air Bud and Picture Perfect. It doesn't really do anything different to really stand out on its own. It doesn't have anything too unique to make it something that should be seen on its own levels, but you'd only be really going to see this if you want to see Samuel L. Jackson in his first top starring role. But other than that, it's not really worth it in the end. I saw it a long time ago, and I don't really remember all that much about it the one time I saw it, so I really don't think it's going to get any better if I try to watch it again, honestly. But at least Samuel L. Jackson has been in a lot of other better movies with his name in the leading role. But so that's 187. Let's go ahead and move on to the last movie, and that is In the Company of Men.
Hey, Howard. What's the difference between a golf ball and a G-spot? I don't know. I'll spend 20 minutes looking for a golf ball. That's good. Yeah.
If you thought you knew what some men were really thinking...
We keep on playing along with this pick up the check crap, and we can't even tell a joke in the workplace.
Really feeling...
It seems like everything. Work, these women, I feel like they're getting out of balance.
And really doing...
She said that. No, I didn't. I didn't say that. I mean, I didn't mean it.
You're in for a little surprise.
Say we were to find some gal. I mean, this person's just vulnerable as hell, and we both hit her.
So this is the first feature film from Neil LaBute, who has gone on to become more notoriously known for directing The Wicker Man, as well as some other movies. Nurse Betty, he directed the Death of the Funeral remake, he directed Lakeview Terrace, he directed Possession, The Shape of Things. His movies have been a very mixed bag, honestly, but this is one of the films that really branched him out as a regular director. Who you basically have Aaron Eckhart and Matt Malloy, who are angry and frustrated with women in general and plot to toy maliciously with the emotions of a deaf female subordinate. And it's certainly a very interesting black comedy. It's a very interesting black comedy. It has some unique ideas to it, and it's very well done. Like, it's a film that really, I did not go into it with a whole lot of expectations, because I had seen this shortly after I saw The Wicker Man for the first time, and I didn't think I was really going to get anything out of it, because I really didn't like The Wicker Man. But nevertheless, this was a pretty entertaining film. It's a dark comedy. It has a lot of moments in there that make you uncomfortable, but at the same time, you're kind of intrigued by where it's going to go. And it does take you places that you really don't expect to see, honestly. I was really pleasantly surprised by it. And it kind of made me want to check out some of the other films that this director has done. Not all of them have been great. Some of them have been pretty downright terrible, but at least for this first film, it's actually done pretty well. It's actually a really well-made film. It's a real good movie. I'd highly recommend it if you haven't seen it already. If you want to see what Neil LaBute can do as a director as a whole, and you hadn't seen The Wicker Man, watch this, because it'll give you a new perspective on him as a director that I think works a lot better than I think a lot of people would give it credit for. Not much more to say about this one. Check it out, In the Company of Men.
When you're in love, you'll jump from the top of the Empire State, screaming Geronimo the whole way down. I love her so bad, she wrecks me.
My name is Sutton. I'm with the Justice Department.
I am an American citizen, and I demand to see Alice Sutton.
He probably is crazy, but there's something about Jerry that...
Jerry Fletcher has theories.
The whole Vietnam War was fought over a bet that Howard Hughes lost to Aristotle Onassis.
Some would call his theories crazy.
You're telling me that NASA is going to kill the President of the United States with an earthquake?
It's not exactly the kind of thing a Secret Service agent can, just throw himself on top of.
He writes them in his newsletter.
This is the third issue this year. Conspiracy theory.
He sends them out.
Look, I feel kind of naked back here. Could we get out of here?
Please don't tell me you're naked back there.
No, it's just a figure of speech. Could we go?
And she is the only one he trusts.
I've loved you since the first time I ever saw you.
Jerry, you don't love me.
No?
Now, one of his theories is true.
Can you prove any of this?
Absolutely not.
Only he doesn't know which one.
Must have hit a nerve with one of those articles in there.
But his enemies do.
How many subscribers do you have?
5.
Oh, they're dead.
I have to find Jerry. Bingo! I got it. There it is.
These things that you're talking about, you did them to Jerry.
Jerry is very dangerous. What are you going to do?
I'm going to find him because he'd find me.
Pick him up, heading for the bridge. By nature, I'm not a violent man. If you hurt Alice, I'll kill you.
Conspiracy Theory, directed by Richard Donner.
Well, I think you could kind of see one of the first problems with the movie coming out right of the gate. That trailer really does not know what the hell this movie is supposed to be. It starts selling it as like this bizarre romantic comedy at the start, but then it's all of a sudden a political action thriller, which I thought that was the purpose of the whole movie to begin with, but yeah, that's the first sign that this movie probably wasn't going to end up being well. 2, Mel Gibson's character really does not have a sensible idea of where he gets these conspiracy theories. It's like he's making them up out of his own ass, when you know that most conspiracy theorists out there, they usually put these theories together from something that they heard from somebody else, and maybe occasionally they'll think of it themselves, but at the same time, I really don't think this movie has a clear idea of what a conspiracy theorist actually does. I mean, and other than that, though, this movie is just all over the place. Like, it really does not have a single idea of what it wants to be. Like, what does it want to be in the end? Does it want to be something on the lines of something like Lethal Weapon, which is kind of an action comedic thriller, or does it want to be something a little bit more serious, like what it's trying to be sold as on the page right here? I'm looking at from Wikipedia, a political action thriller. Does it want to be that? It doesn't really know which direction it wants to take with it. Does it want to be serious? Does it want to be funny? And it just doesn't really work out that way, and it doesn't really know what exactly it wants to do. And you would think that Mel Gibson and Julia Roberts could maybe elevate this a little bit more to making it somewhat watchable, so you can actually get through the film without questioning it so much. But even in this movie, you don't buy their chemistry whatsoever. Like, why would Julia Roberts' character be so invested in this guy, with spouting out all these conspiracy theories and stalking her, and pretty much stalking her, while she's trying to get her to fall in love with her? Yeah, they don't bring you see that in the trailer, but is that trying to make you think? Is that something they try to make you forget about in the actual movie? But I don't know, man. I saw this a long time ago when I was looking at some of Richard Donner's movies in the past. This is definitely one of his lesser films. It's a film that really has no idea what kind of a movie it wants to be. Like I said, it doesn't know if it wants to be a comedy. It doesn't know if it wants to take itself too seriously. It can't find the common ground here to really make it stand up as something really unique or very interesting. I really don't think this movie works as well as I thought it would. But some positives, I'll say, it does look nice. It has a nice visual look to it, and the cinematography by John Schwartzman's nicely done. Patrick Stewart, I thought, played a very good character in this film, but he was the only one I actually kind of really liked in the film, honestly. It was nice seeing him something different besides playing Jean-Luc Picard, from Star Trek The Next Generation. But other than that, though, the film really has no clear idea of what direction it wants to go to. It doesn't really have any idea on what direction they're going for here. I think it only got greenlit because it's the fact that Richard Donner and Mel Gibson are working together again, so they're going to make instant gold here, and not so much, and especially not after what happens after this with Lethal Weapon 4 in '98, but I don't know. I guess I could say it's not a terrible movie, but it's a film that's definitely a jumbled mess. Like, it can't decide what direction it wants to take. The two leads don't really work off each other very well. The only thing I really liked about it was Patrick Stewart, honestly, and the cinematography, but other than that, that's about it, man. This one is a real dud of a film. That's Conspiracy Theory. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, the comedy Def Jam's How to Be a Player.
I'm what you might call a player.
10 o'clock, Katrina.
Hey.
2 o'clock, Amber.
Hey, girl, that's persuasion.
You mean Caucasian.
4 o'clock, Robin.
Oh.
4:05, Robin's husband.
What's the smell?
What's smell?
Just another day in the life of a player.
You want to dance?
What? Hey, hi.
All I know is a brother who got more than one woman and looking for some more is a pimp.
Well, that covers just about every man I know. Now, Uncle Fred, that's the Mac of his family, the original player.
See, a woman who's a player herself wants to be played.
Yo.
Yeah, needs to be played for the continuation of this man-woman thing.
Open up the door.
I mean, it's eternal, like the smell of chitlins.
I'll be damned if it ain't the before and before shot. Looking like two big M&Ms sitting over there.
Now that's cool.
Bill Bellamy. Natalie DeSalle.
You a beast about to get busted.
Bernie Mac.
Your mama's a man. I'll push your head wide open.
Pierre.
Liar.
J. Anthony Brown.
Hey!
Gilbert Gottfried.
It's onion booty. It makes a grown man cry.
And Max Julian as the original player. Def Jam's How to Be a Player.
I know you ain't looking over there. Don't you know I will cut you?
Directed by Lionel C. Martin.
So here's another one of those comedies like Booty Call and Sprung, where they all pretty much have the same plot, honestly. I mean, this one pretty much says it straight out. Bill Bellamy plays a guy who's a player, who's a guy that sleeps around with a lot of women. You have Lark Voorhees from Saved by the Bell in here. Natalie DeSalle, who we just talked about in BAPS. Maury Moreau, who would later go on to be in National Security with Martin Lawrence. And Amber Smith, who is more known for her roles in some Skinamax shows, like I can't remember what. I think one of them was called Sin City Confidential, and I know she was in Lingerie. And not that I would know that in particular because I don't usually watch. Okay, who am I kidding? Of course I did. I was a kid when these. I was a teenager when these were on TV. Still, when those shows were on TV. So of course I snuck around a little bit to see a little bit of it. And coincidentally, this was one of those movies that show up after midnight on Cinemax all the time at Showtime. And I only saw a little bit of it. And now that I've seen the full movie, I can honestly tell you that. It's really not all that great. It's a film that has some good talent on board here. Bill Bellamy, you see Bernie Mac in there. Gilbert Gottfried is in here too. It's got some names in here, but at the same time, it doesn't really have a whole lot there to make it kind of stand out compared to some of the other films of that type. At least Booty Call was at least close to being the funniest out of all these three. And even if you want to see like the scenes with women in sexy lingerie and getting naked and all that, which. I mean, you could just go on, like I said before, like I've always said, you could just go online and you could just find the stuff there. I mean, there's no real reason to watch this movie if you're just looking for that, because the material they have here just isn't funny or that interesting. And I've seen Bill Bellamy in some pretty good stuff too. I liked him on that show Fastlane he did a couple years after this, but other than that though, this movie is really not that great. It's not that funny. It's not that clever. You're really only going in there to see the good-looking women in their sexy lingerie and sometimes naked. But like I said, you just go online, you can just easily find those clips there. But yeah, other than that though, this is not a great film. It's a film that's really not that funny, not that clever. And at least with Sprung and Booty Call, they were at least trying to do something different. But this one's just sticking it out there for you, and it's not really doing it well here. If you want to see a better movie of this caliber, go watch Boomerang with Eddie Murphy, because that one was at least much funnier, much more clever, much more intriguing, much more interesting, and this one just certainly is not. It seems like a watered-down version of Boomerang, quite honestly. That's pretty much all I got for you on that one. That's How to Be a Player. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie we have here, and that is Free Willy 3: The Rescue.
For as long as there have been boats to sail, boys have followed their fathers out to sea.
You ready to catch some fish?
You bet.
The orca population has declined 10% in the last 2 years, and we don't know why.
Here we go.
What if whales are like people?
Whales are animals. Whales don't feel. They're just fish.
You're wrong, Dad.
Oh, I'm aware of it. That's what I am.
What do you do if somebody's making you do something that you don't want to?
You have to stick up for yourself.
You always have to do what's right, even if it hurts.
It's the hardest part.
Look out!
Who's your friend, Max?
I'm not a whaler. I'm sort of the opposite.
You're a whale?
Now, Jesse and Randolph find themselves on an adventure that will take them farther than they ever imagined, as Willie teaches everyone a lesson in compassion. Share a story about the beauty of nature, the bonds of friendship, and the power of love in an all-new and spectacular story. Free Willy 3: The Rescue.
Of course, this is the third installment of the Free Willy series, and the last of the original trilogy, before they eventually went on to do the direct-to-video sequel that they did with Bindi Irwin about almost 10 years afterwards. I think over 10 years afterwards, honestly. And it's been a long time since I've seen this movie. I've not been the biggest fan of the Free Willy films. Free Willy I just thought was okay for what it was. Free Willy 2 was the first movie I ever saw in theaters, and I really didn't like it. So naturally, I thought going back to this movie, which was not a big hit whatsoever, it was a huge bomb actually. It only made $3 million total. Like, for a movie that had had 2 movies prior to this that were actually successes, to just make $3 million this time around, that's pretty depressing. So naturally, I thought maybe that this was going to be easily the worst one of the series. I mean, it looked like there wasn't going to be anything too promising with it, and I watched it again recently, and I gotta be honest with you, this one actually kind of surprised me. This is probably the best one of the films, and it's really interesting to say that because of what had come before this. I mean, you look at the trailer for this, it doesn't look like anything too engaging, too interesting, but at the same time, there is actually something worthy to it. There actually is kind of a heart to it. It actually is a smarter film than the other two films in the series. It doesn't just pander to get attention from you. There is a lot of maturity going on in this particular one. There is a lot of maturity going on here. The characters are much better written. The writing overall is just better. The storylines are much more engaging. And I won't say it's a classic movie by any means necessary, or one of the greatest sequels you'll ever see, but I gotta say, man, when I watched this again recently, I was pleasantly surprised that I did not hate this as much as I was going to, and in fact, actually came out liking it a lot more than I would have thought I did. It's probably the best one of the series, honestly. I was really, really shocked about that. I was not expecting that whatsoever. Yeah, I was kind of really surprised watching this again recently and realizing that I don't actually hate this movie. I actually think it is the strongest one of the original trilogy, and you know, it's kind of sad that I'm kind of sad now that this bombed. But then again, when you have when you have a sequel that didn't really live up to the expectations of the first film, not to mention that god-awful animated series, that's a whole nother thing on its own levels, but to end like this, man, I mean, this is a really damn good movie. I was actually really shocked at how much I enjoyed this film. I'd say definitely give it a chance. If you stopped after Free Willy 2, I don't blame you, but really go back and watch this and go in there with an open mind to it, because it's actually a lot more smarter and a lot more engaging than I think a lot of people would have given it credit for. It's actually a lot more fun than I thought it would have been. Not a classic movie, not a really great film by any means, but it's definitely the best one of the original Free Willy trilogy, and that really was one of the biggest shockers for me, how much I actually enjoyed this film. Free Willy 3 The Rescue, definitely give it a shot, because you might be pleasantly surprised by what you see. Just got a couple of indie films that I haven't really seen, so we can be quick on these ones here. So let's go ahead and move on to the next film, which is Mike Leigh's follow-up to Secrets and Lies, that is Career Girls.
Award-nominated director of Secrets and Lies comes a new comedy the New York Times calls remarkable. 4 stars.
It's cool. Yeah, it's great.
Siskel and Ebert give it 2 thumbs up.
You ended up with 2 and I've got 2.
A wonderful comic slice of life.
Where are you supposed to meet a man? You're not 30.
Fancy a glass of champagne?
No, thank you.
Rolling Stone says it's hypnotic. Cartledge and Stedman make a priceless pair.
Here's to us.
Career Girls, the new comedy from Mike Leigh. Yes. Rated R.
So you can tell you've got the story about 2 women who are reunited after 6 years apart. The women are Katrine Cartledge and Linda Stedman. The women who were originally thrown together when they share a flat while at university. And the film focuses on their interpersonal relationship. And you see Andy Serkis in there. This is one of his early film roles. And compared to, I mean, it doesn't look like it's a bad movie. I mean, Mike Leigh has made some... Mike Leigh's last film, Secrets and Lies, came out a year before this, and that kind of put his name on the map, but I don't really hear a lot of people talking about this one, honestly, but that doesn't mean it's a bad film, per se. Maybe it could actually be kind of interesting. I'm actually kind of curious at the role that Andy Serkis plays in this film. But other than that, though, I really don't know anything else about this one, so this one could actually be kind of fun, so... Or could actually be pretty good, is what I'm trying to say here, but... A quick one on that one. That's Secrets and Lies. Let's go ahead and move on to the next movie we have here, and that is Soul in the Hole.
Before there was an NBA, a Dream Team, or a Final Four, there was a game called Street Ball. Welcome to Soul in the Hole.
So as you can tell from the trailer there, this is about street ball. I almost forgot what they were saying. Street ball, of course, you follow this basketball coach named Kenny Jones, his playground dream team called Kenny's Kings, the relationship between him and his players, particularly playground phenom 18-year-old Ed Burger Smith, and life in Brooklyn during the summertime. And when I saw this for the first time, the trailer for it, my first thought was Hoop Dreams. Like, this is very similar to Hoop Dreams, and I really like Hoop Dreams, but this is a film that I've never seen before, but I definitely got that Hoop Dreams vibe from it, and like I said, I really like Hoop Dreams, so already my interest is kind of peaked just on that level. It's got some pretty decent reviews from what I'm looking at here. I mean, somebody said it's the best film made about basketball, about growing up black male and street, and that's actually done by Okay, it says two different things here. I think it's The Village Voice, but it's also a top 10 gem by Premiere Magazine. I'm reading this off Wikipedia because I've never seen the film, so I don't really know if it's any good or not. But judging by the fact that the trailer gave me a lot of Hoop Dreams vibes, I'm actually really curious to see if I can find this movie somewhere and watch it. I'm pretty sure I can find it online, but yeah, my interest is definitely peaked on this one. So that is Soul in the Hole. Moving on to the last one we have here, we have Max von Sydow starring in Hamsun.
Du vet att jag beundrar henne. Och jag tror på er dröm om ett stort nytt Europa.
So we've got a story about the later life of the Norwegian author Knut Hamsun, who's played by Max von Sydow. I think I'm pronouncing these names right. Who, together with his wife Marie, went from being a national hero to a traitor after supporting Nazi Germany during the occupation of Norway during World War II. And definitely some things that could be very topical for nowadays. But like I said, I've never seen this film before, but it's got Max von Sydow in it. Usually he does not star in a really terrible movie, so I don't doubt he's probably the best thing about this film. But then again, the movie itself could actually be really good too. So once again, very quick on that one. I've never seen it before. Could be good. I'm not entirely sure though. But that's Hamsun.
In the city of New York, a crime is committed every 8 seconds. But just across the river lies a quiet town called Garrison, New Jersey, where New York's finest return home.
The hero cop, unwilling to trust the system, jumps from the George Washington Bridge. Today, he is laid to rest here in the cemetery at Garrison, New Jersey.
So what brings you down to Fair City? I heard it was a way of life out here. Thought I'd check it out for myself. I offered you a chance to be a cop, and you blew it! Being right is not a bulletproof vest, Freddy! What are you gonna do, Sheriff? You gonna arrest the whole town? Everybody's watching you, Freddy.
Sylvester Stallone, Harvey Keitel, Ray Liotta, and Robert De Niro. Copland.
So for James Mangold, this was actually his second film as a director after Heavy came out. And the cast in this movie, as you can already see in there, you have people like Harvey Keitel, Ray Liotta, Robert De Niro, and also the cast that also includes Peter Berg, Janine Garofalo, Robert Patrick, Michael Rappaport, Annabelle Sciorra, Noah Emmerich, Kathy Moriarty. But the biggest name of that cast was Sylvester Stallone. And this was actually a very interesting time for him because 2 years prior, he made the movie Judge Dredd, which ended up being on a lot of people's Worst of the Year lists, including Siskel and Ebert. And there was a specific point in there that really comes into play here when you talk about this movie that came from Gene Siskel. Listen in.
Look at the camera and talk to an actor. I'm going to break this tradition right now. Okay. I know, Stallone, you probably hate my guts. You think I hate you. I don't hate you. I like your talent. I want you to use it. This isn't what you were put on Earth for. You can do this in your sleep, and sometimes it looks like that's exactly what you're doing.
I mean, it's almost as if Stallone actually saw that episode and said, hey, you know what? You got a point. I'm sorry for that horrible Stallone impression, by the way, but it's at least better than my Christopher Walken impression from a couple days ago. But I digress. I guess he apparently took that notice and decided to do this. I mean, it's a different tone from what he was doing beforehand. I mean, stuff like Oscar, Stop When My Mom Will Shoot, these really, these not that great comedies, even though I really like Oscar, and these films that were just so much lower than what, lower devoid of his talents. I mean, stuff like The Specialist, and I mean, this was a chance for Stallone to really show that, hey, he's still got the potential to be that same guy that we saw him be in the original Rocky film. He took on a bigger weight gain for this. He gained 40 pounds for this, and he was basically able to showcase his acting skills. Basically, like I said, the way he did with the first Rocky movie, and the film did pretty well for him. He got a lot of praise from critics. The film was a solid box office hit, and yet Stallone at the same time said it was also bad for his career. I think he said around 2019 that he's called Mangold the best director he ever worked with, but the film actually worked in reverse. It was pretty good critically, but the fact that it didn't do a lot of the box office, again, it fomented the opinion that he had his moment and had gone the way of the dodo bird and the Tasmanian tiger. So it's really interesting to hear him say that, because really, after this movie, he didn't really have... There was a stretch where he he kind of went back to what he was doing prior to this. I mean, he had that one brief gap with Ants the following year where he was voicing that, but then he had movies like, Get Carter and Driven and all these direct-to-video movies, and it wasn't until kind of Rocky Balboa in 2006 when he really got back into form. And really, it's a shame that this movie didn't get a huge amount of attention at the box office. It still did pretty well, but at the same time, it's a shame that he never really got back from that. I mean, the fact that he literally had to tell himself that his moment was pretty much over and done with, like, that's really tough to come by. And I think he's really damn good in this movie. I think he's one of the reasons why this movie stands out as much as it does. The rest of the cast in this movie is great. Keitel, Ray Liotta, Robert De Niro probably has one of the best lines in the movie where he's telling him, "You had a chance to be a hero and you blew it." I mean, which is kind of like an allegory to what Stallone had been at that point. But regardless, I still think this is a really damn good movie and probably one of Stallone's best films he's ever done. I mean, this is a really good movie, and it shows Stallone that, hey, he still has got what it takes, and you could still be that guy who can star in these action movies, and you can also still have a career where you could do these ensemble dramas like this, or even something a little more serious. And it's a shame he never really took full advantage of that. And I think nowadays he's become more to the genre films. And, this is one of those guys that in the beginning he said he never wanted to do another superhero movie again after what happened with Judge Dredd. And look at where he's been now. I mean, he's a prolific figure in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 and also in Volume 3. He was in the Suicide Squad, the James Gunn one. I mean, I still think he can be a really good actor, and he still makes a lot of really solid action movies too. Like, the Expendable movies are still very fun, the Rocky films are very good, the Creed films are good, the Rambo films are still good fun. I mean, he's had a couple of other films such as Escape Plan, Bulls of the Head. Not classics by any means necessary, but the guy still has a lot of talent, and yeah, I really want to see him go back and do more of these dramas like this. I mean, now that he's kind of done with the Rocky series, I think there's a lot of possibility with what he could still do even in his old age. I still think there's a lot of potential there, and hopefully somebody out there will give him the chance to actually go back and do stuff like this again. I mean, like I said, the movie itself is really damn good. I think it's a very solid story. The writing overall is top-notch. The cast is great. It's a really good film. It's a really damn good movie. One of the best films from '97, honestly. It's a film that I go back to a lot in recent years. I still think it's a damn good movie. It's a film that definitely should get a lot more attention than I think it does. I think it's one of Stallone's best movies, honestly. I think it's a really entertaining film, a really well-made film. I can't recommend this one enough. It just goes to show you how good of a director James Mangold can really be. I know that as I'm recording this is a week after Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny had come out, but guy's still an incredible director. He's made more good movies than bad movies. I mean, this, Girl Interrupted, Identity, Walk the Line, 3:10 to Yuma, The Wolverine, Logan, Ford vs. Ferrari, and I'll even say Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is still a good movie. And this is the movie that kind of started it all for him at least. First great film from James Mangold, a great return to form for Stallone. I kind of wish that somebody would give Stallone more of a chance in these more serious roles here. I think he still got the acting chops for it. So that's Copland. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is Paul W.S. Anderson. I said Paul Thomas Anderson yesterday, but honestly, Paul Thomas Anderson probably could have made this next movie a whole lot better than it actually was. I'm, of course, talking about Lawrence Fishburne and Sam Neill in Event Horizon.
A haunted ship.
I'm getting some really strange readings in here.
A missing crew.
This place is a tomb.
DJ, where are you?
And infinite evil.
This ship has been beyond the boundaries of our universe. Who knows what it's brought back with it?
Vacate! I want off this ship.
You can't leave. She won't let you. Event Horizon. Rated R.
When Paul W.S. Anderson. Paul W.S. Anderson. It's going to happen again, watch. But when Paul W.S. Anderson talked about his love for Alien and Predator when he did Alien vs. Predator, I mean, you could tell that because almost 10 years prior to that movie coming out, he makes this film, which is basically just a retread of Alien. I mean, is a much gorier, darker version of Alien, and not a particularly good movie. This movie's not really all that great. I mean, this film really is not a good movie. I mean, you could tell that he's just ripping every single thing off of Alien. The way the ship looks, that the way the ship looks exactly like Alien. The way the characters act isn't get killed off is like Alien. There's like no creative originality to this film whatsoever. It's just a massive, massive misfire on so many levels. And you know, some may say it's because of the troubled production. I mean, Paramount did eventually come into this film and played around with it because they were scared that Titanic was not going to make its release, and they were scared that that movie wasn't going to make any money either. So this cut that was originally 130 minutes was heavily cut down. This is a movie that's just a little over 90 minutes, and the end result is a very bad-looking film. It's a film that doesn't work story-wise, creative-wise, even scary-wise. You have to keep reminding yourself that this is a horror movie because there are so many moments in this movie where you see that it's a comedy. It's more of a comedy than it is a horror film, and it's trying to scare you when it's clearly not. I mean, I guess it had a kind of a following because it did well on home video, and its DVD release was such a success that Paramount basically went to Paul W.S. Anderson and said, let's begin a restoration of this deleted footage that we got rid of. But most of it has either been lost or destroyed, and slowly but surely have been trying to find it. There's been a couple stills out there which probably could have made this movie a whole lot better, but I don't know. That would have been a long that would have been a real test to see if this would actually be worth even finding that material, and it would have made for a good movie anyway. I don't think it really would have, considering what this director has done since this movie's come out. This guy's not a good director. I mean, Mortal Kombat's the best film he's ever done, and maybe even Death Race and maybe Death Race 2. I mean, I like the original. I like that Death Race movie with Jason Statham a lot, but everything else, though, the Resident Evil movies, Alien vs. Predator, I mean, Monster Hunter, all these movies that he keeps putting his wife in, who's not a good actress. I'm sorry, I do not like Mila Jovovich, but I don't know, man. I just don't think he's a good director, period. I mean, this is a film that really, even if you found that lost footage there, it probably still wouldn't have saved this movie. It probably would have made the movie, given the movie a little bit of a unique edge to it, but still wouldn't have made it a great film anyway. And, yeah, that's really all I got for you on that one. Event Horizon, not a great film by any means. So, speaking of not-so-great films, let's get to the film that basically makes Batman and Robin look like Citizen Kane in comparison. Shaquille O'Neal starring in Steel.
Help me deal the next generation of superweapons to the world.
The weapons of tomorrow.
I've already made quite a few of these dandy little toys. Do you really want to be the only ones without my kind of firepower?
Terrorizing our cities today.
Officers down. We got a big problem here.
Now, to protect those who can't fight back.
Gang still messing with him?
Worse than ever.
One man must stand up for the people.
Maybe the police aren't enough. Maybe we need a new kind of firepower for ourselves.
Got you, bro.
What exactly am I supposed to be doing here?
We make our own kind of weapons to take out the ones in the streets. To stop the enemy without hurting them.
And become a new breed of hero.
It might get a little dangerous.
I laugh at danger.
I boogie around danger like a soul-trained dancer.
He really just said that. I don't think I need to show you any more about why this movie is bad, and you know what the sad part is? Shaquille O'Neal's not a bad choice to play Steel. Honestly, I mean, he's got the look for it. I mean, he's got the body type for it. I mean, this is a role that could have easily worked, but Shaquille O'Neal is really bad when he has to act in this, and I don't have a problem with Shaq at all. I think I like him in Good Burger when he's playing himself, in Scary Movie 4, and just recently in the Lego Movie. He's actually pretty funny, but for an actor that plays a role, he's not that great. There's only been one movie where he's actually been pretty good, and that was Blue Chips. And that came out 3 years prior to this, and he was good in that film, but when he takes these big-budget roles like Kazam in this, he's just not good at it. I mean, take a lesson from Michael Jordan in Space Jam, because if you play yourself in a movie and it's done right, it works well. And in the 2000s, O'Neal pretty much did just that. He came around and realized that once he plays himself in the movies, he can actually be pretty good. But then again, that could be blamed on the script too, which doesn't really give him a whole lot to do. I mean, the movie is called Steel, and Steel doesn't become the hero of this. We don't see him until halfway through the movie. The film is only 97 minutes long. We spend more of the time without the title superhero, and I seriously don't get why movies do that. The title character never becomes the center of attention in their own movies. Tom and Jerry the movie, the animated one, you know, the Lorax, the Lone Ranger. If the title character isn't going to be the center of the film, don't call that movie that. I mean, just call it, I don't know, like, hey, Shaft's in here with Steel. Like, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't treat Steel with any respect here at all. They give him a terrible-looking costume that looks like it's not made of steel at all. He has this machine gun to defeat his enemies. They give his best friend, Sparks, played by Annabeth Gish, more weapons than he has, so much so they should have made the film about her. Just call it that one, Sparks, with special guest star Steel. I mean, that makes more sense. And worst of all, they don't even get a chance to fight at all. There's literally a scene in the final climax where Steel gets captured by the bad guy. They don't tie him up. They don't take his weapons. They don't even beat him up. They just leave him there as the bad guy goes on about his evil plan. Just get your ass up and fight the guy. But no, he's just sitting there with this awe expression on his face, like as the bad guy continues his speech. I mean, it's just like, what were they thinking when they let that pass with a green light? And like I said, the rest of the cast of this movie is just wasted in here. Annabeth Gish is the only one who's actually really trying in here. She's honestly the best thing about the movie, but then again, like I said, they give her more to do than the hero does. Richard Roundtree is forgettable, and the fact that he has to use lines like that, and even stuff like I like the Shaft. Like there's a part where he has to say that too. It's just like, good lord, I thought Theodore Rex was the worst thing he'd been at this point, but no, Judd Nelson's a dumbass villain, and Ray J, that same Ray J from the infamous Kim Kardashian sex tape, is obnoxious and annoying as hell in this. Think of a young Chris Tucker, but even worse. You know, Charles Napier is wasted in here too, so is Irma P. Hall. I mean, her subplot about making a souffle gets more time in the movie than the actual superhero does. I mean, that should tell you everything you need to know about how bad this is. I mean, what more do I even need to say about it? The title character is not the main focus of it. Shaq's not even trying. The rest of the cast is wasted. The villains are terrible. The script is terrible. For a movie that's only an hour and a half long, it goes on forever. You could see why this film caused the crashing and burning of comic book movies and superhero films for a bit, before Marvel eventually decided, okay, let's actually do this and get people that actually know what they're doing. And it would take DC 8 years to regain some composure in the big-budget superhero movies, but not before adapting some of their more lesser-known comics and graphic novels, but with much better success, which we'll eventually delve into as we go along here. But when it comes to Steel, it's one of the worst superhero movies ever made, and it's not even close. So we've been pretty negative for the last couple of films that we've looked at on here, but let's get to a more positive film, a really entertaining film. Let's talk about The Full Monty.
They invested their lives.
10 years we worked in here. Now look.
In a town that was on its way out.
A few years and men won't exist. We're not needed no more, are we? Obsolete.
They were about to lose everything they worked for.
You're not our foreman anymore. You're just like the rest of us. Scrap.
Everything they loved.
We're finished dead. Dinosaurs.
Now, these 6 unemployed factory workers are training for it, planning for it, and going all the way. Fox Searchlight Pictures presents a comedy about staying alive, working together, and uncovering your potential.
We can either forget it or do it and just maybe get rich.
This is your great money-making enterprise, is it?
Yeah. So, what can you do? This. The Full Monty.
Excuse me, no one said anything to me about the Full Monty.
The Full Monty.
Now, are you in or are you out?
So the trailer pretty much kind of gives you the idea of what the story is. This is taking place in the north of England during the 1990s. It follows 6 unemployed men, 4 of them former steelworkers who decide to form a male striptease act a la Chippendales in order to make some money for the main character, Gaz, to be able to see his son. Gaz in the film declares that their show will be much better than the renowned Chippendales dancers because they will go the Full Monty, aka strip all the way, hence the film's title. And you know, for being a comedy, it actually tackles some heavy issues, like, you know, you see it in the trailer there. You have unemployment, you have fathers' rights, you have depression, you have impotence, homosexuality, body image, working class culture, suicide. I mean, and this is a straight up comedy. I mean, the trailer pretty much tells you it's a straight up comedy, and yet it balances out the drama really well here. You really get attached to these characters, played by Robert Carlyle, Mark Addy, William Snape, Steel Hurlson, Tom Wilkinson, Paul Barber, and Hugo Spear. I mean, these characters are so well written and so easily likable that you want to root for them. You want them to get their goal at the end of the film, which they eventually do. And the movie is really entertaining. It's a very funny film. It's a very funny film, but also a very smart film. It kind of reminds me of the first Magic Mike. Actually, the Magic Mike movies in general, which, you know, it's hard to believe that those movies could be listed in kind of the same category that bad mouth movies like 80 for Brady On, where it's just a girls' night out movie where they're talking more about what they're wearing and what shoes they're wearing and drinking their champagne and then not paying attention to the screen whatsoever. But when you watch the Magic Mike films, surprisingly, they actually are really entertaining. I mean, they give the ladies what they want, but they also manage to create an engaging story with likable characters in them. But then again, that's the power of Steven Soderbergh. Even with this last one that just came out recently, Magic Mike's Last Dance, which I really did not think was going to be that great whatsoever, it surprisingly was enjoyable. It was surprisingly enjoyable. I like watching Channing Tatum and Salma Hayek working off each other in that film. It was actually one of the big surprises of the year so far. Not really a great film overall. You probably won't see it on my best of the year list, but I thought that was interesting to bring that up with the Magic Mike films, because this Magic Mike was kind of, for the Full Monty, it was kind of the precursor to what Magic Mike would be for the American audiences, but this was a big hit in America as well, and it went on to become an Academy Award nominee for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Original Screenplay, and Best Original Music or Comedy Score, which it won for Ann Dudley. And as far as the movie itself goes, like I said, The Full Monty really is an entertaining film. It's not only very funny, it's also very heartwarming. It tackles some serious issues here. It's a really damn good movie, and I credit a lot of that to the writer, Simon Beaufoy, who went on to write Slumdog Millionaire, and a lot of really good films that came out after that. 127 Hours, Hunger Games Catching Fire, Everest, Battle of the Sexes, Miss Pettigrew Lives for a Day. I mean, this is a really damn good movie, and at the time of recording this, the TV series is about to come out on Hulu, the sequel series, which I'm definitely looking forward to checking out. It's got a lot of the same people from the movie, the same writers on board here, so I'm definitely really curious to see if that's going to be good. I'm really looking forward to checking that out. But before you see that, you should definitely check it out. Actually, it's already out now. I misread this on Wikipedia, thinking it said July 14th is when it's coming out, but no, it's been out since June. So yeah, at some point I'm gonna have to check that out. So I'm definitely looking forward to checking it out. But if you've seen that show and you have not seen the original film, you're doing yourself a huge disservice by not doing so. So definitely go out there and check that one out. So let's go ahead and move on to our last film that we have here, and that is Paperback Romance.
She knew was in her writing until a lucky break changed everything.
Skiing accident. Yeah. Can we make some fun?
You mentioned Paris.
Now, there's no telling how far she'll go.
It's still broken.
To keep the fantasy alive.
Tell me about this story.
Gia Carides, Anthony LaPaglia.
Conversation with you would be the most exquisite form of foreplay imaginable.
Paperback Romance.
So as you can tell, that was one of the last pictures that Orion had after they went bankrupt, because this thing actually came out in Australia in 1994, and the star in this, actually not the star in this, Rebecca Gibney, who plays Gloria in here, actually got a nomination by the Australian Film Institute in 1995. So this thing took 3 years to get to America, and it's interesting, this director, Ben Lewin, he didn't make another film for another 20 years, and that was The Sessions with Helen Hunt in it, which is a really great movie. Helen Hunt, John Hawkes, can't recommend that film enough. But as far as this film goes, I don't really know too much about it, honestly, and it looks like it kind of has an interesting idea to it. This woman has polio. She ends up breaking her leg and is treated normally for the first time in her life, and she has this love interest played by Anthony LaPaglia. And I don't know, I've never seen it before. I don't really know if it's any good, but it's got some good ideas to it. The couple in here actually looks pretty good. Gia Carides, I did not realize, was actually Cousin Nikki in the My Big Fat Greek Wedding series. So that's another thing of note here. But other than that, though, I don't really know too much about this movie, honestly, to really delve into it. So I'll definitely check it out one day, but maybe not anytime soon. But I'm really curious about it, though. So that is a Paperback Romance.
How am I supposed to fit in with these guys when you've got me set up as an outsider?
I want your opinion. I'll give it to you.
Did that pick y'all?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
No, get you on! Cut her loose! Let her go! Why are we quitting, O'Neill?
She leave the scene, no better, no worse.
Damn, that girl's good.
There's a lot of people who don't want to see you finish.
I'm gonna go through with this.
I thought you were in the opportunities. Bring it back, it's over. I never expected you to do so damn well.
She hired Joe. Why don't they just get it over with? Call her Joan of Arc.
Tell me you didn't sell me out.
Never gonna happen anyway. I'm not playing games, Senator. Watch this.
This is a very interesting movie in a number of ways. Not only is this a very interesting story about the fictional story of the first woman to undergo special operations training similar to the U.S. Navy SEALs, but this, for Demi Moore, this was coming at a very interesting point in her career. Her career kind of took a little bit of a downfall at the beginning of the late 90s. When you do stuff like The Scarlet Letter and then Striptease, these really bad movies, your career kind of goes down a little bit because you put so much effort into those movies. You put little effort into those because those movies didn't end up working out as well. But this was a nice return to form for her. In fact, I really like this movie to a point where I could honestly say that this is in my top 3 favorite movies with Demi Moore in them. I surprisingly really enjoyed the hell out of this movie, and I think it works because she has a good director behind her and Ridley Scott, who creates a very good element here in terms of the story. The writing overall is top notch. Her chemistry with Viggo Mortensen in this movie is very good. I like seeing Anne Bancroft in this, playing the senator in this movie, and she has a really good scene, and she has a lot of good scenes with Moore and the rest of the cast in this. I mean, it's a really damn good movie. It's a really damn good film where Moore really shows that, hey, she is still a pretty damn good actress, despite the fact that because she did Striptease in The Scarlet Letter 2 years ago, the Razzies got to give her the award for the worst actress of the year, which really doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but then again, the Razzies don't make a whole lot of sense. And the sad part is, this movie has become somewhat of a joke now, like, not because of the movie itself, but because, of course, of what happened at last year's Oscars. Not this one that just happened, the one in 2022, when Chris Rock made the joke about Jada Pinkett and basically said G.I. Jane 2, and that was, of course, that led to the Will Smith smash, which we've talked about it at length already. I still am of the belief that both of those guys are in the wrong there. Will Smith should not have gotten up there and slapped him, but Chris Rock should know better to tell a better joke than that. I mean, there was no point in making that joke, and sadly, that's what G.I. Jane now has become kind of relevant for nowadays, which is a shame, because the actual movie is actually really good. There are so many memorable moments in this movie, like the funniest moment to me is when Demi Moore is telling the guy to suck her dick, and like everyone else is just like, suck her dick, and they all start chanting on like, suck my dick. It's like that's funny. That's actually good funny stuff in there, and that's actually what I really like about the film a whole lot, is that it has a little bit of a sense of humor to it, and I thought the movie was very, very good. I think it's a movie that deserves a lot more attention because of what happened last year. But it's still a really good movie. It's still a very damn good film. I like going back to it every once in a while. I think it's a very good film, a very underrated film too. One of Ridley Scott's more underrated films too, as well. It's a nice return to form for Demi Moore. She still proves that she still is a very good actress, and she plays the role here very well. It's a great film. I can't recommend it enough. Definitely go check out G.I. Jane if you haven't seen it already. It's more than worth the watch. So, that's G.I. Jane. Let's go ahead and move on to the next movie we have here, and that is Charlie Sheen and Chris Tucker in Brett Ratner's Money Talks.
I need 2 on the floor.
I need $200. Come on. Same time, man. I don't know you. Same time.
For Franklin Hatchet.
What, we can talk for a couple of seconds on camera? You that reporter from the Channel 5 News Agency. Find somebody else.
The hustling game wasn't quite paying off.
Serious crime, justified punishment. You don't know who you're messing with, man.
You want to play rough? I kill for son. That's what I do, man.
But all that's about to change.
We made it, man. We did it. Everybody okay?
because today's the day
Now you got me out right over there, man. My cousin's house coming up. Shut up! Come on, man. You can drop my brother out.
he becomes rich
My diamonds, how much are they worth?
$15 million. $15 million?
and famous.
A bus delivering prisoners was destroyed in downtown Los Angeles.
Now, the last person he can trust
Well, without me, you're probably gonna end up dead.
is the only person that can help him.
It's gonna take us for the rest of our life. This is wrong. This is right. It can't get no righter.
I'm coming to my wedding.
Hell no. I ain't going nowhere. Mamma mia! The house. Magnifico! Montebella? Tutti frutti.
Smells so great.
She fine.
Thanks.
Homicide detectives have already identified the two gunmen, and they are Franklin Maurice Hatchett and James Russell of Channel 12 News. You're wanted for murder. Get married when you're wanted for murder.
I get the feeling you stole from the wrong bunch of bad guys. Get your head down.
I will slap you, man. You keep messing with me. I'm dangerous. I'm scared of myself. Everybody, I like to propose a toast. Your James first, it's last, it's everything.
Is that Barry White?
Chris Tucker,
How rich are you, man? Don't make me that. You got on to me?
Charlie Sheen. Money talks.
How about some nice Dom Perignon 85?
How about some Coke 45?
Of course, this was Brett Ratner's directorial debut as a feature director. He had directed many music videos up to this point, but this was his first movie, and of course, you have Chris Tucker there, which the two of them would eventually work together on the next three Rush Hour films that will come starting after this movie. And it's a pretty slick movie. It's very reminiscent to something like Nothing to Lose, which we talked about with Tim Robbins and Martin Lawrence. I'd go as far as to say that this is actually a little bit better than Nothing to Lose, even though I like Nothing to Lose a lot. It's a really good movie, and it does show Chris Tucker's range as an actor. Like, I like how he does start off as a really annoying person at the beginning, but once you get used to the character, and he's given more of an opportunity to be funny, it actually turns out to be something really, really funny. He's actually really good in the movie, and I like his comedic chemistry with Charlie Sheen. You have Heather Locklear in a very good role here, too. It's interesting that her and Sheen would eventually reunite for Spin City in the years to come. You also have Paul Sorvino in the cast as well. Just a really funny movie. It's a very slick, funny film. It knows what it wants to be. It doesn't try to have this big message to you or anything. It just wants to have a good time with it. And in the late summer, when you usually get it's the second half of a dumping ground in most years, it's a nice welcome film. It's a film that I think really does deliver a whole lot of really good funny moments. It's a film that works a lot on a number of levels. I had a good time with it. I think it's a really funny film. Definitely not one of Brett Ratner's best films overall, but a nice start to his directing career. I'm not gonna give him smack about that. Trust me, there's other films in his career that we can definitely talk smack about, but we will eventually get to those ones a little bit later on. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and talk about another director who's essentially making one of his first big mainstream movies, Guillermo del Toro, with our next film, Mimic.
Did you hear that?
A husband and wife team of scientists has just uncovered a secret biological experiment gone terribly wrong.
They changed the DNA. It's mimicking us.
Now they're our last hope to solve this terrifying mystery. We gotta stop them here. In the film, critics are calling a smart, sophisticated thriller, an extraordinary story. Academy Award winner Mira Sorvino, Jeremy Northam.
Oh my God.
Mimic, rated R, starts Friday.
So the premise of Mimic is basically you have this entomologist, Dr. Susan Tyler, played by Mira Sorvino, who genetically creates this insect to kill cockroaches, carrying a virulent disease, and now the insects are out to destroy the only predator, and that is, of course, mankind. It's a very formulaic film, and in fact, there have been a number of movies like this that are very similar to one another, but it's interesting how this one kind of broke the mold a little bit, and I think it's because of what Guillermo del Toro brings to the table here. This is still very early on in his career. He only directed Kronos just 4 years prior to this, and that was pretty much it. This is the first real movie that people really knew about him. And you have he co-wrote a script with Matthew Robbins, who's written a lot of movies of this type, and it would have been so easy for this to be a generic horror thriller, but there actually is some clever cleverness to it, and I think it works because the cast in this elevates the film. You have people like Mira Sorvino, you have people like Jeremy Northern, Josh Brolin, Charles S. Dutton, F. Murray Abraham, Norman Reedus. I mean, a good cast overall in this film, and I think that this elevates it to another level because everybody looks at this and it's because everyone looks at this at first and goes, "Oh, here we go again, another generic rip-off film, a monster movie." But it's an entertaining film, and I know that Guillermo del Toro didn't get a whole lot of approval on this, and he didn't really get a chance to do his own version of this because he lost Final Cut privileges, and he did not approve the film when it was released. But he was given a chance to work on a director's cut that came out almost 15 years afterwards, which is the one I saw for the first time. And that's one that I thought really worked so well. I did not see the regular theatrical cut of this. And I think this movie really is a lot better than I think a lot of people give it credit for. Only going from the director's cut alone, I think it's a solidly entertaining film. As far as the regular version goes, I've never seen it. And quite frankly, I'm pretty glad that I didn't. So, with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the next movie we've got here. And that is Leave It to Beaver.
They were the family you grew up with, the family you always wished you had. The Cleavers shaped a generation, and now the Beeve is back. Universal Pictures invites you to join Ward.
June, you're vacuuming in pearls. You know what that does to me.
Jude.
You know, Mrs. Cleaver, for a mom, you're quite the babe.
Wally.
Ooh.
And the Beaver, as they deal with life in the 90s.
I got it.
Cleaver style. Leave It to Beaver.
I'm worried about the beaver.
We're all worried about the Beaver, June. We're all worried about the Beaver. I think I'm more worried about why the hell Universal thought this was going to work in 1997. I mean, Leave It to Beaver is a show, of course, that came from the 1950s and 60s. Let me see here. Yeah, 1957 is when it first came out. They did a revival of the show in the 1980s as well, but even then, it was kind of stretching it a little bit. Trying to bring this to modern times it's not an easy thing to do. You really need to get some good talent on board to make this work here. And despite the fact it has Brian Levant, the director of The Flintstones, and Jingle All the Way as the writer, it still didn't work out that way. And it has some good casting, too. I mean, Christopher McDonald, of course, from Happy Gilmore, and Flubber, and and the Iron Giant playing Ward is genius casting, I think. Janine Turner from Northern Exposure and Cliffhanger as June is very good casting. I mean, the kid who plays Beaver, too, is not bad in this movie. I think the biggest problem is the movie can't decide what direction it wants to go. Does it want to be something like the Brady Bunch movie where it's a satirical comedy making fun of itself? But I think it doesn't know if it wants to do that or just wants to be a straightforward adaptation of the TV show. And it feels like there's more of that, what I said then, the trying to do a modernized version of the TV series for the 90s instead of just being a satirical comedy, even though there's elements where they do try to handle that. But it just doesn't work very well here. I remember I went to go see this movie at an early screening for it. It was one of those Saturday morning screenings they used to have at the old movie theater I used to go to. And we had the hats and everything and the posters. I think I still have the posters somewhere around here. And I guess as a kid I didn't mind it so much, but then when I went back to watch it again, I was just kind of like, oh yeah, this really does not hold up very well. Like all these other TV adaptations, you can tell were at least trying to modernize it while also making fun of the old TV series itself, like the aforementioned Brady Bunch movie, or even something like the Beverly Hillbillies or Sergeant Bilko, which I think are much funnier movies than this. This just doesn't know which direction it really wants to go, and it's a shame because because in the hands of a good director and a good writer, I think maybe this could have worked out well, but when you make only $10 million on a film that only has a budget of $15 million, then it's probably not a good idea to remake this for a modern generation. I think they actually said they were going to do two more sequels to this, but then they shut those down after the film underperformed. Like, if your film underperforms with a $15 million budget with a property like Leave It to Beaver, then clearly you have some problems here. And luckily we didn't get to see those movies, but the movie just fails to update itself for a modern audience. It doesn't really have that charm that the original series had. And like I said, it doesn't know which direction it really wants to go for. It never really decides what's the final end result it wants to take on. I mean, it's just not a very good film, plain and simple. It's a film that I remember liking it as a kid, but going back and watching it later on, I realized that, yeah, I was a kid. I'd like anything that comes out around that time period, but as I grow up, I realized that, yeah, not a good film. Not a very good film whatsoever. So with that said, that's Leave It to Beaver. Let's go ahead and move on to another comedy, Greg Kinnear and Lauren Holly starring in A Smile Like Yours.
We're the Robertsons. We have an appointment. We want to have a baby.
Isn't that nice? Fill out everything in detail, including the questionnaire on your sexual history.
It's kind of personal stuff.
I'll be happy to let you read mine.
I am potent.
He's very potent.
Extremely potent. There's a mistake down at your lab or a contamination problem.
A contamination problem?
Like the police DNA labs, they do it all the time.
Maybe your timing's just been off. Our rhythm has been better than a percussion section.
Soft porn. Not so soft porn, deviant behavior. Go stud.
Paramount Pictures and Rysher Entertainment present the story of a loving couple.
What is it with women in elevators anyway?
Who put their bodies through the ringer.
The whole process is so unnatural. There's doctors and nurses and technicians.
Their careers on hold.
Danny, the clinic just called. They said you're late for your appointment. I just want so badly to be a mom.
Their romance on ice.
You and Jennifer are great together. You don't want something stupid to happen over a misunderstanding.
And their marriage to the test.
I've never once thought about the idea of you lying to me.
My daughter is not having an affair. Why would she do that when sex with you is so fantastic?
She talks to you about our sex life.
Who do you think suggested Candlestick Burn?
You guys are talking about my sex life.
No, we're talking about Jennifer's sex life. I mean, we'd leave you out of it if we could.
Greg Kinnear. Lauren Holly.
I'm finished.
A Smile Like Yours.
You've only got 5 minutes. What? I'm locking up at 6 o'clock sharp. You're not the last man I'm seeing tonight.
Another one of those comedies I saw on videotapes for Paramount movies back in the day, and I thought, I mean, this could actually be something interesting. I mean, Greg Kinnear was actually in a really good movie that came out the year before with Dear God, which is a very underrated film, and Lauren Holly's a really good actress. I mean, it has a lot of talent involved here. Joan Cusack, Jay Thomas, Jill Hennessy, Christopher McDonald again, Donald Moffat, Shirley MacLaine. But, you know, when Shirley MacLaine is uncredited in this movie, that's probably not a good sign for the film. And sure enough, when I saw the film finally, yeah, I could kind of see what everybody was talking about. This is not a very good movie. It's a simple concept. You have a couple trying to conceive a child, but they end up having these situations where the mother, Lauren Holly's character stops using birth control and doesn't tell Danny, and it puts a strain on their relationship. Danny, of course, being Greg Kinnear's character, and she discovers she has fertility problems, and so they decide, you know what, we're just going to go have an affair, and it's just like, really? Like, this shouldn't be that tough of a concept to do. In fact, they tried to do a movie like this similar to 7 years prior with Gene Wilder and Christy Lottie, which was Funny About Love, which is a horrible movie, but at least it's not as that movie is horrible compared to this film. I mean, this film, it's just not clever. It's not clever. It's not really all that funny, and it's a shame because there are possibilities with this film that could really work if you had a good script to work with. But these people that don't really have a good track record in terms of the director, Keith Samples, a former syndication executive at the time, he was one of the head people at Rysher Entertainment, so I guess this was his baby, kind of like how Robert Shea ran his company at New Line, and then Kevin Meyer, who has not written a whole lot of memorable films to his name. I mean, the best thing he had done before this was Stepfather 2, which that pretty much should tell you everything you need to know about this movie here. It's just not a good movie whatsoever. It's a disappointment, too, considering the talent that they have on here. And there is possibility for a funny moment with this, but for funny elements to this, but it just doesn't really have it there. It's just not an entertaining film whatsoever, and I was disappointed when I saw this for the first time. Should have been a whole lot better than what it is. So that's A Smile Like Yours. Let's go ahead and move on to the next film we have here, and that is Patrick Stewart in Masterminds.
They close up the compound. This compound, you're in a school.
At Cities Light Academy, we're taking a new approach to mathematics. I'm going to have to ask for $5 million each.
I don't think so, pal.
Simon, it's that kid.
Copy here. Hope you enjoy this sauna. Find them. Do your dream.
Rider's Edge. Mastermind.
I better get a credit for this.
Rated PG-13. Opens everywhere August 20th.
let's just call the film what it really is. The film that this director did before he eventually ruined his career with Battlefield Earth. This is directed by the same guy that did Battlefield Earth, Roger Christian. And it has Patrick Stewart, who I swear, I guess they took him from, I have to think they took him from the same set that they took him from Conspiracy Theory, because he looks like the same character. Just take away the glasses and give him more of a mustache, and it looks like the exact same character. But I will say this, he is one of the best things about the film, but the movie itself is not that great. You have Vincent Kartheiser from Mad Men, who is this computer engineering protege who matches wits with a security consultant who has taken over his stepsister's school that he's used to go as a ransom as determined bandit for their release. So in a way, it kind of sounds like, of all things, that Dexter's Laboratory episode where the janitor forces Dexter to stay in the school forever with a Die Hard scenario. Like, it's the episode Trapped Under Vengeance. I mean, that's the first thing I thought of when I saw the trailer for this. I'm thinking, I mean, that's a shame when you have to when a Dexter's Laboratory episode has a better concept to this than an actual movie. And it's got good actors involved. Like I said, Stewart, Kartheiser, Brenda Fricker. It's got a good elements to it. It's got a lot of good talent involved here. The script overall is just not that entertaining. It's a film that tries to be kind of a kiddie version of Die Hard, but not that great. And it's not that enjoyable of a film. The only thing, like I said, I really liked about it was Patrick Stewart in it. I think he's the one thing that keeps the movie afloat. But other than that, though, it wasn't that good of a film whatsoever. It's a movie that kind of came and went, and you could definitely see why. So that is Masterminds. Let's go ahead and move on to the next movie here, the re-release of Dirty Dancing.
Every summer there's a movie that breaks away from it all. This summer that movie is Dirty Dancing. A terrific film. Dances rings around Footloose, Flashdance, even Saturday Night Fever. Joel Seaman. Flashdance with Heart, the Boston Globe. This is Saturday Night Fever with even more of a sensual connection. The LA Times. Dirty Dancing is Flashdance with a triple-digit IQ. Toronto Globe and Mail. Dirty Dancing, starring Patrick Swayze and Jennifer Grey. Rated PG-13. Now playing at a theater near you.
Actually, I had to take from the original 1987 release of the film because even though this did have a theatrical release in 1997, there was no commercials that I saw on there, nor were there several trailers, so that's why I took that little clip there from the TV spot. But Dirty Dancing, 10th anniversary re-release, this was a film that did pretty well, and actually was the first was when the movie came out. Like, it earned over $214 million worldwide, and was also the first film to ever sell 1 million copies on home video, which is incredible to really think about. As far as the film itself goes, it's a film that I never really got into, honestly. Like, it was a movie that I thought wasn't terrible per se. Like, it does have memorable moments to it. I do like Patrick Swayze and Jennifer Grey in here. I think they work off each other very well here. The overall story itself just isn't really all that interesting. I think the best part of the movie really is the ending when he has to win her back at the talent show, and of course they had that great moment of the song I've had the time of my life, and the dancing there is very good. But other than that, though, I don't really remember too much more about the movie. I know that Jerry Orbach was in there, so was Wayne Knight, pre-Seinfeld. But other than that, though, also it had a really good soundtrack too, not just of newer hits, but classic songs. Like you had the Ronettes' "Be My Baby," "Big Girls Don't Cry," the Contours' "Do You Love Me," Eric Hungry Eyes, like I said, a mix of modern songs and new songs, which, honestly, the soundtrack really is probably one of the best things about the movie. But I think, to me, what kind of dies it down a little bit was the numerous attempts to try to bring this back into other forms. Like, they have that terrible sequel with January Jones, which actually was a prequel, Dirty Dancing Havana Nights, which actually took place during the Cuban Revolution in 1959. And the fact that Swayze got paid $5 million for a cameo in that movie, which I thought was just like, yeah, that really did not work well for me. But and they also did another remake for ABC, which was not that great either, which had Abigail Breslin in it. And they're actually going to do an official sequel with Jennifer Grey in it, which is supposed to come out next year. But at the same time, I don't know. It's got Jonathan Levine as the director. He's made a lot of good films, so maybe it's got a shot, but at the same time, I'm just over it, man. Like, I didn't think the first movie really wasn't all that great, except for the ending and the chemistry between the two leads. And that's just my personal opinion. I know a lot of people really like the movie, so it's just my take on it. I was never really that big of a fan of the movie, but I could see the appeal of why this thing had a lasting legacy to it. I mean, you see it everywhere. You see it in when you have Eli Manning and Odell Beckham Jr. doing the exact same thing in a commercial for the Super Bowl, like, you've left a lasting legacy. I mean, So what do I have to say about it? What else more do I got to say about it? Dirty Dancing. Most people really like it. I'm kind of mixed on it, honestly. So with that said, on to the last movie we have here, the animated feature, Pippi Longstocking.
Delicatessa, Window Shade, Mackerel Mint, Ephraim's daughter, Longstocking, is about to make a name for herself.
Hey ho, one Pippi, Pippi I away, home and I'm happy as can be.
Pippi Longstocking. From the pages of Astrid Lindgren's classic storybooks comes one of literature's most exceptional young ladies. In her very own animated adventure, follow Pippi and her friends on an unforgettable musical adventure.
Someone right behind us!
Children need a little order in their lives.
Especially if they can order it themselves.
I always wondered why the animation looks so familiar, and then I looked up the information here. Nelvana, of course, they were the guys that did Care Bears. They did the Star Wars animated holiday special as well. A bunch of other classics from the 70s, and you can definitely tell it's their animation style here. Again, like with Escape from Castle Mountain, the Swan Princess sequel, I didn't have no idea that this was actually released in theaters. I remember seeing the commercials for this on video, and this serves as the pilot for the spin-off TV series that later went on HBO. And it's basically kind of the origin story of Pippi Longstocking, like her story from when, like how the story begins, of course, from the best-selling books as well. This is actually not the first time Pippi Longstocking has been adapted into a movie. The last one was the movie that came out almost 10 years ago, which was directed by Dennis Dugan, who has later become known as the director of many of Adam Sandler's movies. But, yeah, I don't remember too much about this movie, honestly. I know that Catherine O'Hara was in it, as well as Dave Thomas, among the voice cast. But other than that, though, I don't really remember a whole lot about it. I think I watched it one time, I rented it one time, didn't leave a lasting impact on me. I never saw the animated series that came from it. So yeah, it's kind of a mixed bag for me. I don't remember too much about it, but what I remember from it wasn't the worst, but at the same time, it wasn't that great either. So I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I don't remember a whole lot of people really mentioning it all that much. So other than that, it came out this weekend. Might as well talk about it. So that is the animated Pippi Longstocking.
In a city ruled by organized crime, America's most dangerous men began a war. He wants a war? I'll settle the city with his blood over a line that should never have been crossed.
Anyone who's ever tried to take him out has not gone well.
You're gonna shoot me this time? If so, you might want to lower that. Yeah. Lawrence Fishburne, Tim Roth, Vanessa Williams, and Andy Garcia as Lucky Luciano. Get ready for your final thrill. Hoodlum, rated R. Starts Wednesday, August 27th.
Basically another attempt to try to make a new Godfather movie, which, yeah, it didn't translate very well. This is a fictionalized account of the gang wars between the Italian-Jewish Mafia Alliance and the black gangsters of Harlem that took place in the 1920s and early 1930s. You see Lawrence Fishburne in there, Tim Roth, Andy Garcia, Vanessa Williams, also Cicely Tyson, Chi McBride, Clarence William III, they were in this film. For a movie that's set in 1930s Harlem, sure looks like this was shot in Chicago. It was literally shot in Chicago, too, so that kind of already takes you away from the mood of what this film's supposed to be. But other than that, though, the movie itself is not really all that clever or smart either. Like I said, it's a film that's trying to be a new generation's Godfather, and The Godfather was really hard to try to recreate for a new generation. I mean, you really have to have a really good script to try to, and a really good storyline and a good director to really get it going. I mean, Martin Scorsese, I think, already did it with Goodfellas in 1990. But, I mean, there's a chance for something interesting to come out of this. I mean, this is not directed by a bad person. Bill Duke is actually a pretty decent director, but the writer, Chris Brancato, however, I don't really know what else he's done after this. We're looking right here. He did Stealing Harvard, which is not that great of a movie, but he did eventually go on to have a decent career. He co-wrote on Boomtown, the very underrated show. He went to work on Law & Order for many of the spin-offs, including Special Victims Unit and Criminal Intent. And he also did the show on Epic's Godfather of Harlem, which I've actually heard is a pretty good show. So maybe this was just a precursor to that. Maybe he thought this movie didn't work out the way he wanted it to, so eventually he got to work on that. and it turned out to be a whole lot better. I've actually heard a lot of good things about it. I don't really watch epics all that much, so I don't really know if that's a great show or not, but I've seen clips of it, though. It definitely does look like it has a lot of promise to it, but as far as this film goes, a good cast that doesn't really have enough there to really make for a really entertaining film. I remember watching it once. I was actually kind of bored with it. I don't really remember too much about it, quite honestly, So a quick one on that one. That's Hoodlum. So let's go ahead and move to probably the most high profile of the new releases here, and that is Alicia Silverstone in Excess Baggage.
I don't know how you meet guys, but I met Vincent when he stole my car while I was in the middle of kidnapping myself. Now I guess we're fugitives or something. And to tell you the truth, it's kind of cool to be wanted.
Excess Baggage. Rated PG-13.
So this one was most notable because Alicia Silverstone, of course, she broke out 2 years ago with Clueless, but then she was in Batman and Robin, and I mean, in that, at least she was trying in that movie. But in this film, this was the bigger bomb, because not only was she in this film, but she was also the producer of the film. Her production company was behind it, and also her and Benicio del Toro, her co-star, were also dating around the time of filming. And as we all know, you don't go and usually date your co-stars. Is you don't work with your spouse in Hollywood, because 9 times out of 10, it ends up backfiring big time. And no doubt about it, this thing backed up big time. It's back down. This thing. What am I trying to say here? Backfire. That's what I was trying to say. Good Lord. This film backfired big time for her. I mean, she took a lot of flack for this movie, and really, it's not her fault. The movie just isn't really all that smart or all that clever. It's a film that really... It has a lot of the similar problems that we see in a number of different movies. It doesn't know which direction it wants to go for. Does it want to be a straight-up comedy, or does it want to be kind of something on the lines of Lethal Weapon, where it's an action comedy? And if you're going to do an action comedy, you need to get some people that really know how to handle an action comedy. I mean, like, I'm not asking you to go get somebody like a Mel Gibson or Danny Glover in Lethal Weapon or something like that, but you got to get somebody else besides Alicia Silverstone and Benicio del Toro, 2 actors who were still very young in their careers at this point, and they hadn't really done a whole lot of variety in terms of their roles in this. I mean, I don't know. The film itself was just a really, really lackluster misfire on a number of levels. The writing wasn't all that great. The comedy wasn't all that great. Even the chemistry from these 2 people who were dating on set clearly does not work in this movie. And, you know, it's hard to see. It was at a point where you're still hard to see Alicia Silverstone outside of her, outside of her character from Clueless. Like, when you watch this, you just can't feel. You just keep feeling like this is her. This is her character from Clueless. Now I can't remember who it is. Now I'm having trouble with this one today. Cher Horowitz. That's what I'm thinking of. Good Lord, this is a tough one for me to get through on my perspective. But it's like you're watching. It's like you're still watching Cher from Clueless, and she doesn't really do a good job of distancing herself. I mean, it would take her a couple. But granted, it's not the worst thing. It's not the worst thing that could have happened. Actually, this could be the worst thing that happened to her. But at the same time, it got better for her afterwards. I mean, after this, she did Blast from the Past, which also starred Christopher Walken, who's in this movie, and she was actually really good in that. And she did star in some better movies after this film crashed and burned. So this could have easily destroyed her career pretty quickly, but it didn't really do that. But at the same time, you still can't look at it and not think to yourself, this is such a missed opportunity, considering everyone that's on board, considering the talent that's on board here, especially this director, Marco Brambilla, who also did Demolition Man, which is a good, fun, over-the-top action film. But after that, though, this film just, it failed on so many levels. It's a film that probably had some potential going for it, but it just needed a better script and a better way of handling the direction it wanted to take. Does it want to be taken as a straight-up comedy or an action comedy? What does it want to be? Like, it didn't really figure out what kind of a direction it wanted to take, so this was the end result of it. A mostly forgettable film, and a largely bad film, quite honestly. So that is Excess Baggage, and let's go ahead and move on to another bad film that came out this weekend. We are in the second dumping ground of the year, so here's Kevin Sorbo as Cole the Conqueror.
Ways only one man can tell the forces of darkness just where to go. You are a man.
Kevin Sorbo is called The Conqueror, rated PG-13.
Speaking of movies that have no idea which direction they're going for, here's another one called The Conqueror, which actually started off as the third Conan movie. It was supposed to be Conan the Conqueror with Arnold Schwarzenegger, but he did not want to he did not want to return for that, so they basically rewrote it for Kevin Sorbo to redo a character he had already played, and the character was then changed to Call the Conqueror. And this is another one of those films where studio interference got in the way big time, because they were trying to set this up as a big step for Kevin Sorbo, who had spent many years on Hercules: The Legendary Journeys, and let's just say it did not work that way. It's a film that is really boring, really not entertaining whatsoever, and it's hard not to look at this and think to yourself, this could have been another Conan movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and then they decided that, and even he knew. Arnold Schwarzenegger knew to step away from this movie. Like, that's how you know how bad this movie is. Like, it's a bad movie. Like, it's a film that really does not know if it wants to be taken seriously, or if it wants to be a comedy, or wants to be cheesy, wants to be over the top. But it just can't decide what to do with that. And all they want to do is just make Kevin Sorbo a movie star in this film, and it just doesn't work. It's not a film that's entertaining whatsoever. It's a really lame movie. It's a lame movie on so many levels, and what more do I gotta say? Call the Conqueror is not a good movie. Plain and simple. So, anyway, on to the next film. She's So Lovely.
Explosive, passionate, one of this year's great films.
For whatever reason, she belongs to me.
It's the story of two men with nothing in common, except the one person in the world.
I love this guy, okay? I love you too.
Neither of them can live without.
You are such a beautiful woman.
Make up your mind, babe.
Sean Penn, Robin Wright Penn, and John Travolta. She's So Lovely.
I swear to God, I'm gonna shoot somebody.
We came for dinner. It's not that kind of an evening.
Rated R.
So yeah, you got some notable names in here. Sean Penn, Robin Wright, John Travolta. You see Harry Dean Stanton there. James Gandolfini is here as well. The story is basically that Robin Wright plays a character who drinks and smokes to excess even though she's pregnant, and her husband Eddie, played by Sean Penn, is in trouble of his own, and she's physically and sexually assaulted by James Gandolfini, who plays the abusive neighbor. It's more for Eddie to handle, so he shoots somebody, lands in a psychiatric hospital. 10 years go by. Eddie finally returns, only to find out that Maureen is now clean and sober and is married to a new man played by John Travolta and a mother of 3 children, one of whom is Eddie's own daughter. So Eddie's return complicates and endangers all their lives. And that premise alone and that trailer, the way we just looked at it, it just feels like it's so much. It just feels so. Again, it's kind of the theme of what we're going through from much of these movies. The tonal shifts in these movies don't really make a whole lot of sense. The trailer makes it seem like it's this lighthearted comedy, but this sounds much more serious than a comedy. Like, I think that's part of the reason why this movie didn't do so well financially. It got decent reviews, honestly, and for Nick Cassavetes, who had this was only his second film, and actually used some footage that was actually used from his father, John Cassavetes, who had died 8 years prior to this. So it's still pretty interesting. It's interesting how they handled that, but I don't know. I think I've never seen this movie before, and I think the reason why is because of trailers like that. If I saw the trailer for that and actually saw the movie, I don't think I'd be satisfied by what I got from this, because that trailer it's kind of the theme of what we're going for, like I said, for much of the movies this week, a tonal shift. There's no problem with the tonal shifts in these movies. Like, is this supposed to be a serious drama, or is this supposed to be a comedy? But you can't really tell them apart, honestly. But like I see here, the reviews for this aren't terrible per se, but I don't know. Like, I've never heard anybody really talk about this. I've never seen it before, so I don't really know for certain if it's any good or not. It could be, honestly, but I don't know. I don't think I'd check it out anytime soon, honestly. I think maybe I need a good hook to really make me want to see this in full. But other than that, though, that came out this weekend. So let's go ahead and wrap this up with the last one we have here, and that is Trojan Eddie. So Stephen Ray is the small-time ex-con who discovers he has talents from selling anything and everything. he sees a way to rise above the low life by settling up his own, but what he didn't bargain for was the murder and mayhem along the way. You see Richard Harrison here, Stuart Townsend is also in here as well, and that's really all I know about this film, other than also Brendan Gleeson's also in here too, but I've never seen this movie. I tried going to the Wikipedia page, and you want to see what the Wikipedia page for this... That's it. Trojan Eddie is a 1996 British-Irish crime drama film directed by Gillis McKinnon, and that's it. It's just like, that's all you need to know. Good night, folks. And it's just like, that's kind of the reason why I don't really have a whole lot to say about this one. I've never seen this film before. It has some good talent on board with it, I'm not going to lie, but if the Wikipedia page only has that, and that's all it really has to tell you about this film, probably not that memorable, quite honestly. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you, man. Trojan Eddie, it came out this weekend, and I have no idea if it's any good or not.